Imagine a riot, not over politics or religion, but over something as seemingly mundane as milk. It seems absurd, yet it happened. In 1774, the streets of Boston erupted in chaos. The cause, the soaring price of milk. This wasn't just a case of grumpy customers. The Great Boston Milk Riot was a symptom of deeper unrest brewing in the American colonies. The price of milk had skyrocketed, making it unaffordable for many families. Milk was a staple, essential for children and the elderly. The anger over milk prices was a reflection of the broader economic struggles faced by the colonists. The British had imposed heavy taxes and trade restrictions, squeezing the livelihoods of ordinary people. The milk riot was a spark in the powder keg of colonial discontent. It highlighted the growing frustration with British rule and the economic hardships it imposed. This seemingly small event was part of the larger tapestry of resistance that eventually led to the American Revolution. By the 1770s, life in Boston was getting harder. The British government, through taxes and regulations, was squeezing the colonial economy. Essential goods, including milk and bread, became more expensive. Farmers, struggling themselves, raised prices. City dwellers, already feeling the pinch, were outraged and frustrated. On a sweltering summer day, the tension that had been simmering for weeks finally reached its boiling point. The marketplace, usually a bustling hub of commerce, was now the epicenter of unrest. A large crowd had gathered, their voices rising in unison, demanding fair milk prices. The farmers, who had been struggling with their own hardships, stood their ground, fearing for both their safety and their livelihoods. As the crowd's frustration grew, the situation quickly escalated. Milk carts were overturned, spilling their precious contents onto the dusty ground. Insults were hurled back and forth, each one more venomous than the last. Fists flew as the anger turned physical, and the once orderly marketplace descended into utter chaos. The air was thick with the smell of souring milk and the sounds of shouting, a stark reminder of the fragile balance that had been shattered. The milk riot was more than just a food fight. It was a powerful symbol of the growing unrest among the colonists. People were frustrated with the British-imposed taxes and regulations that made everyday life increasingly difficult. The riot was sparked by the high price and scarcity of milk, a staple in the colonial diet. This seemingly small event was actually a significant indicator of the larger issues at play. It was a sign of things to come. The milk riot demonstrated that the colonists were no longer willing to passively accept British oppression. They were ready to take action, even if it meant confronting the authorities directly. This defiance was a clear message to the British. The colonists were prepared to fight for their rights and freedoms. It showed the growing anger towards British rule and the willingness of ordinary people to fight for their rights. The riot was not just about milk. It was about the broader struggle for justice and autonomy. The colonists' anger was palpable and their determination was unwavering. They were no longer just subjects of the British Crown, they were becoming revolutionaries. This small, milk-soaked riot was a taste of the revolution that was brewing. It was a precursor to the larger, more organized acts of rebellion that would soon follow. The milk riot was a microcosm of the larger revolutionary spirit that was spreading throughout the colonies. It was a clear indication that the colonists were ready to challenge British authority in more significant ways. Just a few months later, the Boston Tea Party would shake the very foundations of the British Empire. This iconic event, where colonists dumped an entire shipment of tea into Boston Harbor, was a dramatic escalation of the resistance that had begun with smaller acts like the milk riot. The revolution was no longer just a possibility, it was becoming an inevitable reality.